guys, it's your boy Red Levy, the Funny CEO, Successful Inc. And I'm back again with another video, back to back. Because yesterday we did a video, now we're doing a video again. So yeah, so in this video we are going to be reading the book. As you can see, after Gandhi, 100 years of nonviolent resistance. So I'm going to be starting a new series going called Read It with the Founder. And this is going to be episode 1, and this is going to be the book we are reading. So yeah, we're going to do one chapter. And I'll explain some stuff to you guys on the whiteboard. I don't know why. On the whiteboard. So yeah, let's get this started. Let's get started. Let's read this chapter. So we'll be reading like that. Keep talking about Africa. No, I'm gonna pick an episode or chapter 3 from the book. And I read this chapter called 1963. You can see 1963. You can see that right there. Yeah. 1963. If you don't like reading, I still want you to watch it because there's a message in this book, in this chapter, that I want all of y'all to know. Birmingham, Alabama, USA. The streets were full of children in groups of 50 lines of singing young black students from elementary school to college age poured out of the 60th Street Baptist Church. The jails were full of children too. More than 600 had been arrested in March that day before. Since there was no place to put anyone else, Sheriff Bull Connor ordered his police force to break up the crowd instead of arresting them. As the young protesters came into the street, they were met by a wall of white police officers, helmeted and armed with fire hoses. The force of the water knocked children off their feet. One young girl tumbled down the street in the fierce blast from a horse. Still, the marchers streamed out of the church, more than a thousand in all. The police brought out canine units, snarling German shepherds trained on the ends of their leashes. 3 teenage boys were bitten by dogs. Still, the marchers held their ground, 500 of them struggling to reform their lines in the chaos of water and barking. Dogs and screaming, fleeing people. Amidst the demonstrators, the onlookers, and the police. There were photographers and cameramen shooting live footage of the confrontation. That night, families gathered in the living rooms all over America. They saw the scenes on the evening news. In 1963, Birmingham was known for its violence against black citizens. There had been so many bombings, more than 50 of the black homes and churches, that some people called the city Birmingham. It was also known as the city of rigid separation in the downtown shopping area. Many shops had signs that said whites only, blacks couldn't use the dressing rooms. In clothing stores, they couldn't sit down at the lunch counter to order a sandwich. So that just explains that part of the chapter. Just explains how Birmingham, Alabama was in that time. The streets were full of children, he said. Officers were doing this stuff. They were doing bombs. They even called Birmingham They even called the city Birmingham because there's a lot of bombs in there, bombing churches and all those places. We blacks, we couldn't sit down in dressing rooms, clothing stores, all those places because at the time in America they didn't like black people. White people didn't like black people. White people didn't like black people, and black people didn't like white because of the separation of that. But now in the world that we have, we're all friends. We have white friends, we have black friends. But some people in the world, they still don't believe that. And let's try to change that. If you know a person that doesn't like specific races or genders or whatever, tell them the story. If they know the story already, you know, just tell them all the good things that happen. Or tell them who your friends are, stuff like that. Tell them that you maybe you as a black person, you as a white person, you can still be friends with other races if you don't like those races. Because now in America, we are all equal because we're people. We're all the same person with just a different color. Just because I'm black doesn't mean I can't do stuff. I can do anything I want to do because it's America. That doesn't mean I can't do this, I can't go inside it. We are all equal in the world, and that's what I'm trying to say, that we should be equal, not separated in the first place. Next page, 6 minutes in. In April 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his associates arrived in Birmingham at the innovation of local leaders. King was powerfully influenced by the work and writings of Gandhi, whom he began reading more than a decade earlier. Another leader of the civil rights movement, James Farmer, had been using Gandhi's tactics in organizing student cities in Nashville, Tennessee. Now King planned to use the same approach in Birmingham to persuade store owners to change the unfair treatment. The black community organized a boycott of downtown businesses in response. The city government pressured a judge, what is that? I lost what it was, sorry. Pressured a judge to declare boycotts, marches and sit-ins illegally. 9 months was a difficult time for the civil rights movement, even among those who were following him. Many disagreed with King's approach in Birmingham. Not only the white community, but the majority of the city's black ministers did not support his actions. King and the campaign were criticized in the national magazines and newspapers. Fewer and fewer people were coming out for the demonstrations. The movement also knew that anyone who dared to march risked being jailed for long sentences. The campaign had paid so much to bail people out of jail that they had nearly run out of money. In the midst of all the turmoil, King and his wife also had a new baby at home. For all these reasons, many of the King's associates urged him not to march. But King argued, if the city succeeded in stopping the protests, the segregationists would win. He didn't know how things would work out, but he decided that he had to defy the ruling even if he did it alone. On April 12th, the march was held, 52 people arrested, and King was thrown into solitary confinement in Birmingham jail. While in jail, King read a story in a newspaper smuggled in by his lawyer. 8 white ministers had made a statement about King's actions in Birmingham. Though these ministers were actually in favor of ending segregation, they felt that King was demanding too. Much too fast, the ministers said he should sit down and talk instead of demonstrating and marching. We shall meet your physical force with soul force. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As he said. King started making notes in the margin of newspaper. The movement was waiting for instructions, but what to do next. But when his lawyer visited again, King only wanted to discuss the letter. He was composing. He secretly slipped his notes through the bars of his cell. Asked his lawyer to get the message out of the public. The letter King wrote in jail was a passionate response. from the minister to the 8 ministers who had criticized him. He explained why he and his followers could be patient anymore. He wrote about beatings and lynchings. If you don't know what lynching means, is basically white people hanging people on it's basically like people hanging people. Lynching is hanging people using like ropes and stuff like that. About name calling and disrespect. He wrote about having to explain to his little daughter why she wasn't allowed into the amusement park, and to his young son how some white people could be so mean. He wrote about unjust laws and why it was necessary to challenge them. Oh God, I need a water break. It's red because there's like a popsicle fruit flavor in here. That's why. He wrote about unjust laws and why it was necessary to challenge them. One who breaks an unjust law must do so openly, lovingly, and right with a willingness to accept the penalty. I submit that an individual who breaks the law that the conscience tells him is just unjust, who willingly accepts the penalty of his imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice, is in reality expressing the highest respect for the law. When later was typed and distributed, there was absolutely no response. None of the ministers it was addressed to made any comment. The press was not interested in something written by a troublemaker preacher who couldn't stay out of jail. On May 3rd, Bull Connor turned his fire hoses and police dogs on children. That's really bad. The nation and the world were shocked at the violence against young citizens who had done nothing but gather for non-violent demonstration. Under national pressure, the Birmingham businessmen agreed to open the lunch counters and dressing rooms, the restrooms, and water fountains to non-white people. One who breaks an unjust law must do so openly, lovingly, and with a willingness to accept the penalty. By again, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He said that. Within a month, newspapers all over the country began to print the letter from Birmingham jail. Soon it was a famous document. The work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the American Civil Rights Movement became known around the world, inspiring those struggling for freedom everywhere. We shall match your capacity to inflict suffering with our capacity to endure suffering. King wrote in an earlier sermon composed in another jail. We shall meet your physical force with the soul force. Do to us what you will, and we shall continue to love you, but be assured that we will wear you down by our capacity to suffer. One day we shall win freedom, but not only for ourselves. We shall so appeal to your heart and conscience that we shall win you in the process, and the victory will be a double victory.